Oh, let's do adductors and abductors, but let's face backwards and stick our freaking cookies out into the air and hope no one looks at us. Only we want them to look, but then we call them out for looking. Coach Greg, and today we're gonna go over the 3 best and 3 worst exercises for your quads, okay? The quadricep muscles is a group of 4 muscles, hence the word quad, located at the front of the leg, okay? We have the vastus medialis, which is the teardrop muscle that looks really cool right above the knee. We then have the vastus lateralis, which is like on a side lateral, it's on the side of the leg, and that gives you that X frame on the outer part of the legs. Then we have the vastus intermedius, which is between those 2 muscles, but you can't actually see it because it's covered by the rectus femoris, okay? So that's the 4 muscles we're trying to work when working the quads. The number 1 exercise you need to do in training is the squat. But guess what? It doesn't have to be a regular squat with a barbell. It could be a front squat, a back squat, or literally any form of a squat where there's a weight on your shoulders pressing down and you're lowering yourself to parallel. A parallel squat, 90 degrees, would be the ideal range of motion to do for a squat. You don't want to go lower, and if you don't want to go that deep, that's okay too. Go as deep as is comfortable. The deeper you go up to parallel, the better activation of the quads you're going to get and the more growth you're going to develop. But if it hurts your back, hurts your knees, hurts in general, just do the best you can. For example, I have hip surgery. I cannot go to parallel. It's not advisable for me to do so. Doesn't mean I can't still squat and maybe go halfway down. Halfway down is better than no way down, okay? Just get in the squat and do it the best you can. What about stance? You can go narrow or wide. It really makes no difference to the quadricep muscle whatsoever. So squat in the width that's comfortable for you, whatever feels best. However, if you do want to put more emphasis on the glutes, the wider you squat, the more glute engagement you're going to get. So if you want to get just quads and no glutes at all, go narrow. But if you want quads and glutes, better to squat a bit wider, okay? Let's face it, both women, men, and circles, we all want glutes. Why not build the glutes? So maybe try squatting a little bit wider than last time and getting the best of both worlds and getting both the quad and glute development at the same time. What about the bar's position on your back? Well, if you really want to emphasize just the quads, place the bar on a high bar position located at the upper neck portion or do a front squat. But if you want the best of both worlds and develop your quads and glutes at the same time, place the bar a bit lower on your back, as I do. Now remember, a lot of people can't do the squats due to sore knees, sore lower back, and they just don't feel comfortable doing it. But there's a lot of machine variations, a hack squat, a V squat, a Smith machine squat. You don't have to rely only on the free weight squat. Pick the best squat for you. Okay? It doesn't really matter. So my advice, pick a form of a squat that you can do. Squat to parallel if you can, and if you can't, go as low as you can that's comfortable, and you are going to make the gains in the quads. Number 2, the leg press. But why? Well, the leg press is going to have a lot less strain on your lower back, okay? So you start with the squats, your back might be a little bit tired, but now you can move into the squats, less emphasis on the lower back, and you can go harder than last time without risk of injury. When you're doing a squat, it's hard to do forced reps, partial reps, and so on. On a leg press, you can easily go to failure and beyond. So for a beginner, it doesn't really matter. You don't need to train that hard, but for an intermediate or advanced lifter, you're going to have to start pushing yourself harder than last time, going to failure, doing partial reps. The leg press easily allows a safe way to do so. If you want to focus emphasis on the quads, as I always do on this exercise, I always place my feet lower on the platform. The lower it goes, the more you're going to feel the quads, and the higher it goes, you're going to feel more emphasis on the glutes and hamstrings. Both will work the quads, of course, but if you really want to focus on the quads only, lower your heels a little bit, put them at the lower end of the platform, and rep it out like that. How deep should you leg press? 90 degrees is plenty. Sometimes you'll see people trying to go further than that and their lower back will round out. This is dangerous on the lower back. It's not always further you go, the better. Up to parallel is as far as you want to go. And if you have bad hips, knees, and so on, it's okay to go even less deep than that. But remember, time under tension is important. Don't rush the weight and don't ego lift as you do on the squat. Ego lifting is a bad thing. It's dangerous, puts you at a high risk of injury. And if you're injured and you're not training, you're not going to be making the gains. What about foot width? It's the same as on the squats. You'll get the same quad activation with a narrow stance versus a wide. However, if you go wider, you are going to feel more glutes. So do what's best for you. If you want to get both glutes and quads, go a bit wider. But if you want to focus solely on the quads, keep a narrow stance if possible. The number 3 exercise, sorry Jeff Cavalier, the leg extension. Leg extension is going to focus solely on the quads, no glutes and no hamstrings. So if you want to isolate the quads, as I do, because my hamstrings are already great, I want focused attention to the quads. The leg extension is going to do it. So many people feel that it's going to be bad for your knees. This is not the case, okay? If it's hard on your knees, just don't go as great of a range of motion. Do them more at the top end of the motion. And don't use such a heavy weight. Control the weight. That's right. Control the weight at all times. Go slower on the eccentric, half speed of the concentric, and if at all possible, pause at the top. Pause at the top of the leg extension. Feel the burn and then slowly go down and go up again and so forth, okay? Make sure the time under tension is approaching 40 seconds. Don't worry so much on how many reps you're doing. Focus on time under tension and you will get the ultimate burn. I don't suggest that you start your workout with leg extensions, but rather finish it. A lot of people use this to warm up the muscle. I don't like this idea. I feel that the most intense and most difficult exercises should be performed first in your workout and the easier exercises, and yes, I consider leg extensions easier than squats. Have you tried a freaking squat set to failure? Try taking on Will Tennyson in a squat challenge and see if that's not harder than doing leg extension. Save the leg extensions for after when you're already fatigued and you can just isolate the quads and go harder than last time. Leg extensions is an easy exercise to do forced reps, partial reps, and so on at the end and get that tremendous burn and time under tension that you're looking for to maximize muscle hypertrophy. What about foot position? Well, if you really want to target the teardrop, the vastus medialis, you can point the toes out slightly and you'll get a little bit more focus on the teardrop muscle. If you want to focus on the outer leg muscle, the vastus lateralis, feel free to put the toes inward and do your sets like that for a slightly more emphasis on the outer sweep. However, in general, it's not making much difference, so just do it the way you like it. Get it done, go harder than last time, and you're going to make the gains that you want. Up next is the 3 worst exercises for quad development in descending order from best to worst. The worst, this is for last, okay? Up first, any exercise that's done unilaterally or one leg at a time. For example, split squat, Bulgarian squat, lunges, and so on. When you do these exercises at one at a time, it's dramatically extending the length of the set. You're going to be doing a set for 1.5 minutes, maybe even longer, and then that cardiovascular component and motivation's coming into play. It gets boring, it gets monotonous, and it gets hard to push yourself. So if you're doing walking lunges, for example, one step at a time, you're doing one leg, the other's resting, the other leg, then the other's resting, and you're just not having time under tension on that muscle. And even if you go one leg at a time, like left leg first and you do 15 reps, then right leg, whatever leg you started with is going to have more emphasis. You're fresher and more motivated. The other leg is going to be lagging behind. It's hard to go all out on your left leg for 15 reps and then have to do it again on the right leg for 15 reps, okay? But if you do decide to do this, always start with the lagging body part first. So I'm not saying not to do these exercises, but if you do these exercises, do them at the end of the workout, starting with the weak leg first. And if you have one leg more developed than the other, feel free to only do that leg. So for example, walking lunges, you could do them with the left leg only if your left leg is weak. If your right leg's weak, just do them with the right leg. There is a place to incorporate these exercises into your workout program. They simply never made the top 3 list. Next, any of the freaking Bosu ball balancing act, freaking squats and so on. It's not a freaking balancing act. Sure, it's good after an injury to heal, for proprioceptive feedback, to learn where your body is in space, and for athletic performance. But it's not to get freaking the quads of Tom Platz, okay? Tom Platz did not build his quads squatting on a Bosu ball, balancing an egg on his head, and balancing a pitcher of water and going up and down and so on. No, save that stuff for rehab. We are trying to build massive quads here, not trying out for Cirque du Soleil balancing acts. And the worst leg exercise to do, the worst for almost no friggin' quad development whatsoever. You ready for this? Any freaking exercise that a bikini competitor does and posts on Instagram. They ain't trying to work their quads. All they care about is the glutes and how they look while doing the exercise. All those exercises they're performing on Instagram, it's not about if it's working the muscle, it's about displaying that muscle. As in, check out how sexy my freaking glutes are and look how far into the deep end you can see on that exercise. They'll do anything. Oh, let's do adductors and abductors, but let's face backwards and stick our freaking asses out into the air and hope no one looks at us. Only we want them to look, but then we call them out for looking. Meanwhile, their freaking spandex are up into the deep end. You can see everything that's going on, including what they ate for supper last year, and you don't know what to do. I want to look, I don't want to look, what's going on? Or they face in the opposite way. Oh, the hack squat machine. Oh, that V squat machine, it's there perfectly. I know what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna turn away from it and get my ass out into the open rather than lean against the pad like I'm supposed to. I'm gonna do the exercise like that. Why? Because you're showing off and you've seen everyone else doing it on freaking Instagram. That's what's going on. Avoid these exercises. They're not to build your quads. The girls look fantastic. It's not from doing those exercises. It's from freaking genetics, PDs, and all the other training they're doing. And putting the fork down. Whether you're trying to get slim thick or thick thick, do not just copy these freaking bikini girls doing all those silly exercises in the gym. You can do it as a bonus, and I don't mind watching these freaking Instagram stories. It's fun to look at, sure, just like looking at a Playboy calendar, but doesn't mean it's proper exercise execution to build the quadricep muscles. Ending it here, blooping up 2 videos, watch at least one of them. Follow me on TikTok, Instagram, check out my website, gregdoucette.com, and until next time, I am out. Don't forget to buy my training books. If you need to know how to train, how to put together a workout, it's all there for you. Multiple programs. Please check it out. And if you want, buy my freaking cookbook as well.